A fucking terrorist, a fucking pedophile, sympathizing fucking terrorist.
It tells us more about them than the people they're trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone.
Okay, check. Testing. All right, it's great to see everybody. Welcome in. Tonight is Monday, January 5th, right? Monday, January 5th. Happy New Year again. We're in 2026. Who would have imagined it? And so, wow, the year has gotten off to a big start, I guess, for lack of a better term. The year is off and rolling, and it's really something else. And hey, guys, we are about 9 days away from the return of Noe Amos, your favorite Indiana local, right? Noe Amos is just on the cusp of coming out, and we're going to be talking to Noe as soon as he gets out, and it's going to be great to see him and great to hear what he has to say, because we have a lot to talk about. And that leads us into the subject matter of our show tonight, which is Delphi and the Troll Farm, an inconvenient truth, or how the Indiana State Police colluded with the local CIs, other criminals, locals, people close to Kagan Klein and the Patty family, and how that has led to the years of chaos that you have witnessed here on the social media for the most part, especially here on YouTube, because YouTube is the battleground for the Delphi murders narrative. And if you don't understand that, hey, you need to get your mind right real quick. The reason it all goes down on YouTube is because that's where the conversation happens. So that's why the narrative must be controlled. And that's why you've seen almost every creator who is independent of all this run off almost exclusively at the hands of the domestic terrorist of Central Indiana, also known as the Troll Farm, and the greater circle of individuals that they engage to do their dirty work. And by that, I mean the bikers. And keep in mind that aside from that, you've got an entire contingent whom I've termed the controlled opposition, but that's not the subject matter of our show tonight. I've already done a bunch of work on that, and there will be more on that coming. And the controlled opposition, obviously, that's an entire different ilk. Those are primarily non-locals who are professionals and, oddly enough, also tied to law enforcement with deep, deep, deep connections to law enforcement. And collectively, together, they all make up this massive narrative control campaign that operates on social media. And again, that controlled opposition faction primarily operates on Reddit and Twitter, and barely use YouTube for the most part, as the Troll Farm and the Indiana locals are the ones who have primarily controlled the narrative on YouTube for all these years. And you've all just, you've only seen the fallout from it all. You've rarely seen the inner workings of it all, but tonight you will see. And so that's going to be very interesting for those of you who are here, especially those who are new, who don't really understand what you're getting into or what you're seeing. This should help round you out, because you know how we do it here in the prof world. We primarily like to say what we like to say very clearly, and then we also like to back that up with evidence in terms of receipts or some sort of evidence to help and substantiate our claims, so that they're not baseless, and there's a direction for you to go looking to if you want to see more. So anyway, it's a lot of words, but that's the direction we're heading tonight, and I think you'll be surprised. Now, before I get too into it, I would like to say hello to everyone who's in the live chat, and if you're on the replay, please do me a solid and leave some comments down below, hit the thumbs up, and share this if you find it interesting. Trust me, I think you will, especially when you understand the connections of the individuals we're talking about. And we'll get into that a little later. We're talking about firsthand connection to Indiana State Police and nothing less than that. So let me go back and kind of say hello to everybody. I just don't want to miss anybody. That's the primary motive here. So we got Critter Mama. I'm going in order of when they came in. So Critter Mama, Snoop Sleuth, Carla Ann, Fur Baby Daddy. What's happening? My computer's freezing up now. Okay. It appears so. Let's see. Try that again. Critter Mama. Wow, why is it freezing up when I do that? I've been hacked. Old Mort, New Mort, Quadaxel Mimi, David Rogers, Nicole Watt. There we go. Rebecca Ann. Okay, 4 pit bulls across America. Adrian. All right. Maria Alma. Who else we got in here? Dieter. Okay, good to see you. Fur Baby Daddy's here. Dieter Snoop Sleuth. Okay. Pertinent. Did I see Deb? Granny D. Good to see you. Swade Smith. Hey, Swade. All right. Dom S. What's up, Dom? See Deb. I see it's a new day. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, everybody. I think we're doing good. Oh, Zaddy's here. What's up, Zaddy? All right. So, yo, anyone new come in, greet them, please. No trolls allowed. So, we see we're getting some people in here. Appreciate everyone for joining. It's a Monday night. Monday night, right after the New Year, after the holidays. So, ooh, it's one of those type of Mondays. Good to see everyone. I've missed Rafi too. Okay. Zaddy, Deb, Nicole, Adrian. Good. David Rogers. Okay. Good to see everybody. All right. I just realized that I didn't get something together at the beginning of the show, so I'll have to be doing it on the fly. But we'll get there too. Let's see. We'll get there. Let me think for a second. I don't want to handle this. Let's see. All right, that's that. All right. And we got this over here. Let's see. I'll make sure that I have everything here that I want to show. All right, I do. So let me see. Yeah, let me try. Let me try to start us off this way. So it's going to take me a second because I'm ill prepared. All right. Boom. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. Take me a second. Okay, we're going to go to that. We're going to say boom. Okay, let's do this. Click it. Let's see if I can do this. Go to this. Go here. All right, I'll go here. No, not there. Let's do this. Okay, so there's a number of things. I think we're ready with this. So we'll go with this. Oh, let's see. All right, we're going to go here. I'm going to do that. All right. Good to see everybody. So let's do this, all right? While I'm getting this started, I don't know if one of the mods would like to post my link tree so everyone can go and see how to contact me or go to my other places if you'd like to. Appreciate that. So let's do this first. We're going to do one of these jobs. Okay, we're going to say, give this a try. All right, how does this work? All right, so what we're seeing here, this is my Prof True Crime page, and you'll see that I made a post, and I said, in case you missed it, that very interesting live, sorry to inform you, it's gone. Okay, so there was a very interesting live, and we're going to talk about that live. There was a very, very interesting live, which was there was a live by the ex-wife of Tony Klein. Okay, the ex-wife of Tony Klein did a recent live, and which she said a lot of interesting things. And unfortunately, almost immediately when that live was over, it was deleted. Okay. And so what was interesting is at the end of that live, we had a little scenario develop in which the following question was asked. When did ISP call to report the interactions with underage girls? Which year was this, or what year was this? So when did ISP, Indiana State Police, call the family of Tony Klein to report interactions with underage girls? What year was this? And this is in the last 30 seconds of the live. And the response was that the ex-wife of Tony Klein had an answer for that question, which was 2012 or 2013. 2012 or 2013. There is the claim that the ISP called to report interactions with underage girls. Okay? And like I said, unfortunately, that video was immediately removed by the uploader. Okay? All right, and now we're going to flip on to this. Not this. Okay, sorry. To this. Not this. What the heck am I doing? There. All right. So this is this post about Noe. And I made a post yesterday saying only 10 days away. Well, now it's 9 from completing his term and a bold and triumphant return. Okay. And here's Noe. You see Noe holding a Justice for Abby and Libby sign out in front of the courthouse. This is Noe marching for justice on troll patrol in the state of Indiana here. There goes Noe. As you see, it has 112 likes. People like Noe. You see the 112 likes there? Okay. People are glad to hear that Noe's returning. And then I made a post 2 days ago that the very last live stream that I did, which was called Anthony_Shots, the Peru connection. Remember, I just did a show on Friday, a few days ago, called Anthony_Shots, the Peru connection. And for anyone who's missed that, please make sure you go watch that live. That is a very, very important live. Anthony_Shots, the Peru connection. But I said last night's very important show was attempted to be removed by a fraudulent privacy claim. Okay, and I added some stuff. See the prof's Anthony_Shots, the Peru connection. It was fraudulently reported for a privacy violation. And look at the amount of time. If you notice the timestamp here from 48:46, 48 minutes in, all the way to the end at 2 hours and 26 minutes. So thankfully that did not work out. And anyhow, and I also added this here for you. Last night's very important show. And I added this letter here, which was a tip into the Carroll County Abby and Libby tip line. And I show how the contents of this particular tip in on March 10th, 2022 reveal this connection to the Anthony underscore shots profile. So this is on the community page for you to go read for yourself. We're not going to read through it. And here I show an image of Grayson, Bossy, and Greeno. Okay, 3 individuals who have colluded to steer this state's narrative in Delphi for years now. And I'm sure all of you are familiar with Grayson, who is the assistant to Lauren Hidden True Crime, who is one of the bloodlusty demon bootlicking guilters in the Delphi sphere. And this is Bossy, who's one of the primary Keegan Klein protectors and harassers. And of course, Greeno, who has threatened to kill everybody in this case, including yours truly numerous times, Rick Snay, Noe Amos, Richard Allen, Andy Baldwin, and the like. And I have attached some screenshots here, okay? Including this one I think is very important for you, which is like Indie Archive reaching out to me to call the police on Noe for probably the 10th time, okay? Call the police on Noe. Indie Archive, whose father is the 40-plus year police commissioner of Carmel, Indiana. Indie Archive, who also drives around Doug Carter and Jinx 13, the leader of one of the leaders of the troll farm. Okay, so Indie Archive driving around Doug Carter and Jinx 13, and also stalking individuals in the Delphi case, utilizing his drone, urging this Bossy to call the police on Noe for probably the 10th time in at least 2 years. They want me to call the law on him. Okay, that's how they operate. And see, there's just some things here. Okay, I am the one who called the ballpark to have him trespass. I talked to Eric Erskine directly. Okay, and they trespass Noe. And so, what is the point of all of this, Prof? Well, what I'm attempting to show you is how these individuals in particular are the guiding force behind Noe ending up back in jail in the past 6 months. They continuously colluded to have Noe arrested, and you're going to see more about that tonight. But that includes, okay, that includes multiple false reports, as you saw just there, more than 10 false reports on Noe and more on Noe. That also included fraudulent or false or unsubstantiated ex parte protective orders attempted on Noe, which caused him a loss of income, tied him up, caused him a lot of grief and stress. And all those substantiated protective orders that these specific individuals drug him into court for were thrown out of court because they were baseless and unsubstantiated. And these individuals also, you've seen plenty of evidence, have followed Noe all around the state of Indiana to all of his court hearings and all a kind of other places. They've even stalked him in person when he's just sitting on a park bench doing live streams, and they run by and they've stalked him other places and taken photographs and videos of him. So this is a constant stalking and harassment and weaponization of the court system or legal system against Noe. Okay, and then I showed you in my last show as well. The same with me, the false reporting to my law enforcement, the false reporting to my CPS, the multiple death threats, and the attempted doxing. The attempted swatting and doxing, and now the baseless copyright lawsuit. So it's deeper than anyone could ever think in this fight, right? And I made the point in my last show how odd that everyone would be so up in arms and just clutching their pearls over hidden true crime Lauren, when what has happened to us is 100-fold. Okay, so the aggression and the weaponization that's happened to Noe and I is 100-fold anything Lauren True Crime has ever attempted with her enemies or people she's fighting. Yet we don't get the outrage here in Delphi. In Delphi, they tend to victim blame. And so tonight, you're going to learn specifically, okay, very, very specifically tonight about the truth in this. And on top of that, in the coming days, you're going to learn the truth about a lot more because I'm going to be posting on the community page things that are going to blow your mind. So stay tuned tonight, though, because trust me, tonight's presentation will blow your mind. And if it doesn't, then you're not here in good faith or authentically. Okay, because listen, when I tell you all of these individuals are intimately tied to law enforcement, specifically to Unified Command and the family of the Delphi victims, that's no hyperbole or exaggeration. That is the way that it is. Okay, so that's how we're going to handle that. Anyhow, we're going to do a two-parter tonight. And so we're going to get into that shortly. Now, the first thing we're going to get into is from a troll farm whistleblower. Okay, so we've been very fortunate enough in the past year or two that we've had several troll farm whistleblowers come forward. Okay, so I think you all should realize, and trust me, a lot of this has not been published or explained well yet, but we've had whistleblowers come forward both on both sides. So we've had PR faction or crank whistleblowers come forward who have blown the whistle on some of the people tied to the defense team and the like. And we've also had a few troll farm whistleblowers who have come forward and blown the whistle on some of what has actually taken place behind the scenes. And so for that reason, we've been able to get ahead the way that we have in what we've been presenting in the past, I don't know, year. And I know it's difficult for a lot of you. You know, I'm very well that it's very difficult for so many of you to really understand. And because of that, there's a tend to dismiss it all as drama. But trust me, it's not all drama. It's just been a real tough, I don't know. It's been a tough, what's the word? You know, it's been a tough walk through all of this and to try to walk you all along through it. But I think tonight will help. And I'm positive, absolutely positive that prior, when addressing some of the PR aspect of this case and how state actors came in and took control of the defense and have been operating in a way to steer the narrative, I think that has been shown pretty okay for you, and that it's still there for people to, you know, catch up with. But I think that this aspect of the troll farm has not really been well understood. And so tonight will really help with that, because what we have is receipts from a whistleblower, and there are more receipts. Okay, so I've always said to the people I talk to behind the scenes, I never show what I have just because I have it. I tend to hold on to things until it's necessary. And so a lot of people don't understand what I'm holding all the time. But there are reasons for that. And so hopefully tonight, by showing you some of this, it'll help to get you started with understanding. And then there will be more, because there is more. I've been blessed to just receive a multitude of pieces of evidence from behind all the public communications, whether it be from behind the the troll farm communications, the communications with Indiana State Police, the communications with family members, the communication with the uniparty or the cranks, and all of this. So it's a big club, okay? And you're not in it unless you're lurking, because I'm sure they're absolutely every single one of them is watching tonight with bated breath, like wolves salivating to see what it is that I'm going to show you tonight. So they're about to find out. So let me just say that with this particular whistleblower tonight, I've confirmed all of the information you're going to see tonight. So this is all of this information you're going to see tonight. It's just not one person's word, okay? All of this has been substantiated with receipts by multiple individuals. And so be encouraged or I guess have confidence that what you see tonight, although it's going to be primarily centered around a single individual telling a story, this entire story has been confirmed or validated or substantiated by yours truly, cross-referencing with another individual and receipts. So this is a true story you're going to hear tonight, and it's a sad story and concerning, but it is true. And what this story proves is that the Indiana State Police, and specifically certain individuals in unified command, have been aware of this behavior, condoned this behavior, and directly interacted with all of these individuals. These individuals have also utilized biker gangs to do on the ground real life work. So not only do you have the individuals on the internet who are doing the cyber work, but you have individuals boots on the ground doing the boots on the ground work. And this is a true story. And I think there should be a lot of questions at the end of it for unified command. And hey, honestly, it makes sense, because not only was I a little taken aback at Doug Carter's refusal to address any of the death threats that have been hurling around in this community, several of which went directly to his desk. But I've also, directly from my police, heard a statement somewhat along the lines of the following. Yes, Mr. Boudreaux, we forwarded everything on to Indiana State Police, and they refused to do anything about it. Do I need to repeat that again? Yes, Mr. Boudreaux, we forwarded all of that to Indiana State Police, and they refused to do anything about it. Well, after tonight, it's going to make sense as to why. By the way, everybody, my name is Robin Boudreaux. I'm a individual residing in the beautiful state of Colorado, the colorful state of Colorado. It's just extremely fascinating that these individuals consistently try to intimidate and harass by using my birth name, or like, as if that matters whatever the hell my name is. It doesn't matter what the hell my name is. It's not the name, it's the message that matters. But yeah, we're going to put that to rest tonight. So we'll take the wind out of those sails and say, no secret. But what you're going to see tonight has been one of the biggest secrets by the meth head, crackhead, chomo enabling weirdo criminal element of Indiana who works on behalf of Unified Command in controlling this narrative on the internet. So let's get to it. All right, so our whistleblower is necessary evil. A necessary evil is our whistleblower, our troll farm whistleblower. So what we're going to start with tonight is tell a little of the story in the way that he told it, in the way that I received it, so that you can see and hear for yourself the way this story was told. And as I said, it has been verified. And again, we want to thank our whistleblower here, Necessary Evil, for shining a light and telling the truth and giving us a thread to pull on so that we could understand what's really going on. And let's just be honest here. You're going to find out by the end of this that Noe and I have been right the whole time. We have been correct the whole time. So for years now, for years now, Noe and I have been correct in all that we've said. And thanks to Necessary Evil, we now have some of the evidence to prove it. I would also like to thank Bossy and Peggy O for the current fight that they've been having because thanks to their infighting or fighting with each other, we also have multiple other levels of substantiation of all of this. But anyhow, I would like to thank all the whistleblowers who come forward and help us shine a light on this, because it's very, very essential that the truth be told in the Delphi murders community so that the community understands what's been going on. All right. Now, in full disclosure, I think I should say that there are more what you're going to see tonight are excerpts from a longer conversation. We're only going to really take a look at the pertinent aspects or the pertinent parts of it, because there's no reason to talk about stuff that doesn't matter. So tonight we're going to talk about stuff that does matter. Anyhow, so this is how this starts. So Necessary Evil says, sup, I didn't see an email back, but when I got back in, I'll see Discord. If you were wondering what I told Alex, it's 100% true that Reg, or Tyler Carpenter, after you guys doxed him, tried to set in motion some pretty twisted plans. I'm the one who shut it down because I didn't trust him and thought he was a spy or something. You and Noe both were targeted. And most of anything they were involved in back then, up until 6 months ago, I know about. Okay? So he said, okay, so what happened is I come on here, and this was right after, and he means Discord. These are Discord messages. He says, I come on here right after y'all release Reg's info, right? Same day, probably. And Reg's Discord server is lining up the dudes offering to buy plane tickets. It had evolved, and Reg eventually deleted his Discord server. And this one was now Jinx Cord that this continued in. So I'm like, what the F is going on? And they tell me about the doxing, and Reg is like, just the man I was looking for, Charles. You want tickets too? And I'm thinking he wants to confront y'all, etc. And like, sure, I can prevent things if it all goes south. Tommy, Ruckus, and a bunch more were going to join Tyler. And I didn't trust Reg for all the reasons. And I told everyone, hold up and shut it all down. And said, why? The plan was either get y'all arrested by any means necessary, beat y'all up, or who knows, worse. And I say, damn, over some stupid YouTube BS? Stupid. I don't know how many of them were willing, but have you seen their mob mentality on display? I know who was agreeing to help him. And yeah, on my other account, I need to I don't know, kind of get via Discord all the screenshots. All right. They jumped. Snays mod Gail. That's Gail. You know Gail. And Adrian. So I say, what's the history of the troll farm? And why did they attack me in the first place, going way back? I'll tell you everything I know and even give proof of it all. I'm not dumb. I took lots of screenshots. I said, is someone paying them? Are they working for LE? For the bike gang? Who put this shit together in the first place? That I do not know. They always seemed like church kids to me. They wanted to be bad criminals, etc., but just weren't. I think I do know where the biker stuff came in. I said, just tell me from the beginning, and after you tell me, you can just put all the damn screenshots you want. All right. He says, there are two biker clubs y'all talk about. One is apparently might have ties to the Hells Angels. And I said, all I know is it never made sense how they trolled me so much for 2 years and threatened me. This East Coast, they can't do much here. They wanted to force you to quit. And I said, that ain't going to happen. And I said, well, so who is the main group of them? From the beginning, the number fluctuated in Reg Cord, probably 70 or so. I would count less than half or more as trolls. Now it's probably going back and forth under Jinx, 90 to 200-ish. Of them, 40 trolls. You got lame video making ones like Ruckus, but I left. Captain Howdy was one. I was a member when they brought him in. Jinx, Turbo, Mark Cohen, Tommy, Reg. There's a bunch I have to think about. I have to think about it, but I know who all are members that either kept tabs on y'all and others. You know, your chat lurkers. And regarding Captain Howdy, I said, you think that's why he's dead now? No, I know why he is. He was my friend. He was hiding his true self all along and lies to all of us. He had been stalking his ex-wife for a felony aggravated assault in 2016 or 6 or something. I don't know what that means, but it had been reported many times about the stalking. He and that woman were into witchcraft. Probably had something to do with it. He has a protection order against him. Who knows? There were witches in the group, but not bad ones, I reckon. Who else? Pretty sure Bossy was, etc. Yep. Who else do you think? You can always tell by their attitude. Steph is in, I think, and let me think. Which Steph? The one that knows Noe, Bojangles. Rush. Her name is Stephanie Rush. But I think the whole troll farm was lying about all that to get people to join their team. You know, that KK stepmom, bro? Yes, Detective Vito. I call her something else as they do. If the police are protecting them, then why do they need the troll farm? That's BS. I don't either. This must stay out for now. The troll farm didn't do nothing but harass people, bro. It's unacceptable. That's the thing. Their groups are, I have a lot of creators that I met. That's why they can do what they do. They have so many creators and make more. Of 150 or so, 67 or 70 were creators. Think about that. 60 or 70 were YouTube creators. I don't get what you say. Half the troll farm are creators of content with each over 1,000 subs easily. That's not true, bro. One time out of a list of 90 or so, like 40. Give me a bit to make a list. You say criminality is troll farm? She was. They told me I couldn't talk to her. No one watches some other channels anymore. They're dying. Well, I told them to F off. They got no new shit. The more buttons you push, see how many show back up? They won't show back up because I'm done with them. I got nothing to say to any of them. They're lame. I think you'll be shocked. The majority of original creators in Delphi are or were troll farm. Again, the majority of creators, the original creators in Delphi, are or were troll farm, including Dan and them. CJ definitely not, but Dan and Paradox, yes. Greeno, Marv, Randy, all yes. Ruckus, Cold Truth, even Criminality. How do you think I know them all so well? Meow, Chris Long, Deb, Coach Kev, Frank Meister, Faye. These are just off my head ones. Delphi Dummies, Ashley Schaefer, The Unhinged, Adam, you know who I mean, Aspen. And there's even more. I don't have too much on Bossy, as she was kicked out early on when Noe got there, but later she would try to manipulate me and others to try to get money with sob stories. Ruckus, lol. Much easier, I can tell you what I know or probably send you in a direction to find the actual source. For one, he was the one major leak of the crime scene photos in the troll farm. He uploaded them to Telegram and then linked people in Reg's Discord. He also is like a sex freak, and there was a female creator who was a beauty pageant winner. And once Ruckus started talking to wife or not, he couldn't help himself but be a fucking perv. Dutch Frank has her exact info if you really want to get them. Everything I know about Jinx, everyone else does too. DUI, meth, nine fingers, etc. Lay off her real name and stick more to her mugshots, charges, and all. And cleaning off some benches will never get you into heaven with the nasty junk you've done. Don't know, but Deb, she's a follower of Pick Me, bitch. I think everyone else, but sounds like you just need mods and trolls. I'll think of everyone else. Emma always helps too, but with these scumbags, I don't know what that means. They all have 5 alternates and Paulie. Keep driving home that Gibbo's a woman beater and a drunk. I call him Captain Howdy Jr. and it pisses him off When's your next live? I'll give you info, but you got to have mods ready. And the account I tell you, aka me, will join in against them. Now, see, y'all starting to get it because you're seeing it from all sides. I never chose to join these mofos, but they told me that 2 women might be murdered by the Kleins, who were the main POI. My typing shouldn't be so bad anymore. I bought a new phone. Boom, good. See, while it was still being run by Reg or Tyler Carpenter and Jinx, out of Reg Cord, I joined and I learned about the 2 protected women. What I didn't know was Mark was the third, Mark Cohen. I only learned of him when y'all was talking all that GoFundMe junk. FYI, you were close as I do talk to Robin too, but she wasn't in our cord. That's Tony Klein's other ex-wife. Keegan Klein's stepmom was the main one protected. Bo was just her best friend and it didn't matter. And I'm quite certain of that as Jill is still my friend on Facebook and we are real close. Which FB? Facebook. The only one I have isn't her name. It's something about dreams. Mainly we use Messenger, but I have her phone number and all that as well. When me and Bo were kicked, Jill left with us and Jinx was pissed. To be honest, I still wonder why all the protection BS. But yeah, Detective Vito or whatever, all that was true. I even spoke to him because Turbo told him why it seemed like bikers were keeping an eye on Tony Klein. Because I asked them to. Not the racist Odin lovers, but the outlaws. What are you saying about Vito? Yeah, he was protecting Bo and Jill and asked us to keep an eye on them online, etc. Detective Vito? WTF. He asked you, the entire troll farm? Jinx? Who? Exactly. He just said, well, she's taking a liking to y'all. Keep an eye out for her. I'm sure at least Ruckus heard the same. See, there's an insane story how I met Jill and them. So how do you turn that into beating the fuck and harassing the fuck out of me? No, that was all Reg. You doxed him. Then why was Tommy Frost and Chris Long and everybody doing it? Mob mentality. Think of how they like to jump people. I saw it right away and I said, like, shut the shit down. Because I don't follow rules and have no respect for authority. Sometimes that's a good thing. Even if someone outranks you doesn't mean they control you. It was more than that, though. They seemed happy to get involved. I cannot tell you what actually would have happened if those people got on those flights. But Reg wanted y'all beat up in prison on false charges. Or as he said, who knows? Who was? Who was what? Coming or planning to? At the time I shut it down, the moment I realized what the F was going on, at least 5 to 7, who was planning on coming and how the hell were they going to set me up on false charges? See, the plan was to have something highly illegal with your DNA planted and you to be found by an anonymous tip. Basically a large amount of drugs. The plan was a joke for Noe, but Reg wanted to use it on you too. But since you didn't have the drug history, he does, he wasn't sure. Think if like Noe was pulled over with a few ounces of ice on him, with his DNA on a scale. Etc. He'd probably have gotten close to 20 years. And Tyler has the people, the means, and the money to pull it off, but he needed the connections in Colorado and Indiana. The one who has that is me. So I shut it all down and went nuts on him because he's a POS and I didn't trust him. Plus, his reasons were dumb. Over being doxxed? Shake my head. He was literally in the process of booking my actual flight. That's when I realized this was no longer a joke. I like to joke about being evil and shit, but this kind of shit worries me. Reg was true evil, and Jinx was with him and told him he needed my help. She knew my family had bikers in it, etc. Ridiculous. I never trusted Jinx again after that. Yeah, dude, there's no reason for it. Like I said before, y'all can be annoying sometimes, but I had no hatred or even wished ill on you guys. Dude, if you got screenshots of all this, please send them to me. I don't care if you send 1,000. Sometimes I think the MS got to her brain. They take the naming of the family as possible suspects so personally. But I've researched like 200,000 cases, and family is always the first to be suspected. As an investigator, you have to be unbiased. I told Noe long ago, I got no issues with you guys. It's more or less just a bit of messing with you because it lightens the dark, sinister case info, you know? It didn't occur to me for a while, all the hatred they all felt, and I was shocked by it. As I said, I cared about Jill and Bo and the rest of them. The rest of them could fuck off. Real lives mattered to me. Now, Bo and the rest, I'm going to set their internet and real lives on fire. I've already started by letting their targets know what they tried to do. But I also have their dark, deep secrets and more. Never F over the guy that holds your secrets. Will do. Mainly I'm going after them as well, FYI. And you can let Noe know. Her name isn't Stephanie Rush, not even close. Bo threw some other lady under the bus and has been using her identity. I've got her felony rap sheet, mugshot, name, address, and everything. But it is Stephanie. You got Noe's number? Wanted to let him know a few things too. Well, what's her real name then? Real common. I still have to redact her last name. The moment I'm sure is going to happen, and I still have hope. The only weird shit besides her entrance is only me. I got far worse on her than her name, in her own words too. By the time I'm done, she'll be gone. I know because I've been kind with her for a long time. So be patient. When I showed y'all what I have on her alone, makes it worth the wait. She's going to end up getting the worst of it all. In fact, I have a screenshot that right when I started dropping her sexual deviancy, and also I have her felony conviction records, the screenshots of her announcing her name to the world. Sorry, I accidentally put a double in here. Apologize. Let's skip past this one. So Reg wanted y'all beat up in prison on false charges, as he said. Well, who was it? Who was it coming or planning to come? At the time I shut it down, the moment I realized WTF was going on is at 5 to 7. Okay. Also, Ashley Schaefer is the computer genius of their group, or was. He runs cybersecurity at one of the largest companies in the world and has military level clearance. He quit the group amongst problems with his fiancée, hybrid Pisces, and health issues before Frosty left. Porsche Daddy, aka Alex DeLong on YouTube, was always in the troll farm. Yes, that guy. Schaefer's identity is also a closely kept secret, like cowboy. Cowboy. I told Snay who each of those accounts belong to. Wesley, the Canadian, is Delphi Dummies. Ashley Schaefer is the computer guy whose name I have somewhere. And even Cowboy was never Frost or Mark. It was Kevin. I could never stand Mark's ass. Me and Cowboy were good friends. You covering for Chris Long. Why are you leaving him out? I don't cover for anyone. The only name I knew Chris on was Indie Archive. Delphi Dummies. No, that's Wesley. So this goes back to Tony Klein's ex-wife. So it says she had a direct connection with the detectives and Tony Klein, who at the time I joined was the main suspect. You tell me what you'll believe when homicide detectives are talking to you. Vito, Holman, and another. These mofos, Vito, Holman, and another, ran a background check on me and knew all kind of shit. And I can verify all of it. And how? That bitch is sitting on my Facebook friends list right next to Becky, Patty, and Snays Mods. And they never even knew who she was. And I still have all the emails from murder shits wanting to interview her too. So hold on. Hold on. Vito, Holman, and another? Who's the other? This sounds like unified command, right? Vito, Holman, unified command? Now, here's an interesting screenshot. We'll come back to necessary evils. This here says, Alice Darling, Fly Minerva Snap, Reg Dunlop. Okay, so let's take inventory of who these individuals are. Alice Darling is Tony Klein's ex-wife. Fly Minerva Snap is the Bojangles. Reg Dunlop is Tyler Carpenter. Okay? So the conversation here, we're dealing with Tony Klein's ex-wife, her best friend, and Tyler Carpenter, Reg Dunlop. And here's what I wanted you to hear. Anybody looking to motorcycle groups like the Milwaukee Irons of Kokomo or Outlaws, Tony Klein has associations with one or both. Okay. Wish someone would type that in the chat. Anybody look into the Milwaukee Irons in Kokomo? Now, do you guys remember the recording of Mike Patty outside of the courthouse after a bike ride or before, where he specifically thanks the Milwaukee Irons of Kokomo? Remember, the Milwaukee Irons are not from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, right? The Milwaukee Irons are from Kokomo, which is exactly where the Kokomo crew is from. And you know, we've talked ad nauseum about the theory of the crime and the Kokomo crew, and it includes Garrett Kurtz and all of them, right? So Gabe Ellis, so we've had Mike Patty specifically thanking and cavorting with the Milwaukee Irons. And this says the Milwaukee Irons and Outlaws, Tony Klein has associations with. And they say that's a secret club. First rule, Alice. Duh. Don't talk about Fight Club. It does not exist. There's no after hours liquor. Pay to play. Ha ha ha. But then again, I've never been on a motorcycle. I'm too cool for secret clubs unless it's Masons. Milwaukee Irons, Outlaws, Tony Klein's ex-wife, Masons. So this is a point of orientation because we still got a little further to go and some more validation, and we'll circle back as well. So let's see. So somebody says Hell's Angels? And Charles says, see, there's a massive group that links from here to there, which is Florida to Indiana. So there's a massive group which links from Florida to Indiana. Ironic, ain't it? Called the Outlaws and OFC, the Renegades. Okay. So are we talking about the Hells Angels? No, we're talking about the Outlaws and the Renegades, who is a outlaw group. The Outlaws. My relatives from here live in Lafayette and other places up there in Indiana. The Outlaws headquarters is here and there. In other words, Florida and Indiana. On this coast, even the Angels won't fuck with us. So the Outlaws, headquartered in Florida and Indiana, that links the two, even the Angels won't mess with. I had an alternative to this situation. I paid my family and their buddies for a couple years to constantly follow Tony Klein and keep an eye on the two. In other words, the two girls, the ex-wife and the best friend. At first, no one believes me. All I got to do is call. And oddly enough, it was also how I knew the Odinists were not involved, because they are kind of a subgroup of the Outlaws. It's crazy, I know, but I helped them get their bikes. So they already owed me money. They weren't paying back. Turbo and them didn't like me or the idea, but Ruckus was cool. Now, here's a funny thing. This is the third person tied to David Vito, Jerry Holman, and Kagan Klein. Out and about in South Indy being productive. So what's the orientation of this story here? Well, let's see. You got three people who are directly tied to Keegan Klein, who protect Keegan Klein. That's Bossy, Holly, and Jill. You have the three people tied most closely to Keegan Klein in the area, directly working with David Vito, Jerry Holman of Unified Command, talking about having the troll farm attack people, even physically attack people, plant drugs on them, plant their DNA in drugs, have them arrested. And at the same time, you have the Outlaws and the Milwaukee Irons or Renegades tracking Tony Klein on the streets. And let's see. For 3 fucking years now, Noe and I have been telling you that this is exactly what has been going on. We've been telling you that we are receiving threats from people directly tied to law enforcement, to Keegan Klein and the bikers. We had the bikers actually follow and stalk Noe in 4 Pits over in Delphi. We had these exact individuals stalking and harassing us on YouTube for years now, falsely reporting us to our law enforcement, to probation officers, weaponizing the court system, fraudulent copyright strikes, privacy claims, and all the like on the YouTubes, doxing, harassing, literal death threats from people who are advocates for Keegan Klein, who are directly tied to the biker clubs and the Unified Command. And the entire time, Noe and I have been screaming this, and no one hears it, and we look crazy. So let's bring this back again. And I mean, take a look at my thumbnail. You know, actually, let me pull it up. Let me pull up my thumbnail. Oh, why'd you do this, Prof? Well, let's see. You have a bunch of bikers in Delphi. You got Doug Carter. You got Kim Riley supporting this shit, and Unified Command. This is why I call it Delphi and the Troll Farm, an inconvenient truth. So not only are the bikers running the streets, right? Not only bikers. Now let's be clear. What do bikers do? What do bikers do in general? They run, or they provide security and run the drugs all around the country, right? That you obviously you're not stupid. You know what bikers do. Because back in the 70s and 80s, of course, it was weed and coke, you know. And then here on into the 90s, 2000s, when these girls got dead, it was heroin and meth. So these very bikers who every year go gather in thousands upon thousands in Delphi as a showing of force are somehow directly working through unified command to enforce on the streets of Indiana, and there's people tied to this enforcing online here in the YouTube sphere. Does anyone understand what we are saying about what happened in Indiana since 2017, so in the aftermath of this crime against Libby and Abby? Do you think this is all on the up and up? You don't think any CIs are involved in this at all? That none that shit goes this direction? And at the same time, you got people planning to get Noe locked up for 20 more years and try to get me locked up for some years, having my son, who I'm the sole caretaker for, placed into the CPS system over opinions on Delphi? And you think we're playing the fuck around out here? You think this is playtime? And what we've been showing you for 3 years now, you thought that was us just being dramatic? Let's review this again. See, the plan was to have something highly illegal with your DNA on it, Prof, with your DNA planted in, and you be found by an anonymous tip. Basically, a large amount of drugs. The plan was a joke for Noe, but Reg wanted to use it on you too. But since you didn't have a drug history, he wasn't sure. Think if Noe was pulled over with a few ounces of ice on him with his DNA and a scale, etc., he'd have gotten probably close to 20 years. And Tyler has people, the means and the money to pull it off, but he needed the connections in Colorado and Indiana, and the only one who has that is me through the Outlaws. So I shut it all down and went nuts on him because he's a piece of shit, and I didn't trust him. Plus, his reasons were dumb over being doxxed. He was literally in the process of booking a flight. That's when I realized this no longer was a joke. I like to joke about being evil and shit, but this kind of shit worries me. Reg was true evil, and Jinx was with him and told him he needed my help. She knew my family had bikers in it. And you thought we've been making this up. How did we make up all the death threats that we've literally posted on here, both in audio and text format? How did I make up the email that I sent to Doug Carter telling him all about this, including the fact that I was hacked, stalked by drone by a direct individual in this very circle, the one who caused Bossy to call the cops at least 10 plus times on Noe. And look, where did Noe end up? Locked up right now. And by the way, he's getting the Richard Allen treatment according to him. He's been in solitary for a month now. Okay, he gets 1 hour a day to either shower or relax or go watch TV or get commissary. You understand what's going on with Noe? Trust me, you'll hear it when he gets out. And he's going to hear all of this. And to close with Necessary Evil's conversation here, regarding Jill, that's what she told me. She had a direct connection with the detectives in the Delphi case and Tony Klein, who at the time I joined was the main suspect. You tell me what you'll believe when homicide detectives from the Unified Command are talking to you. Detective Vito, Detective Holman, and another. Who's the other? Who's the other? I'd like to know who the other is. Necessary Evil. Vito, Holman, and who? And who ran a background check on you? And why would you need a background check run on you from Unified Command to troll on the Delphi case? Can someone help explain that to me? Why would Vito, Holman, and another ISP go to the extent of running a background check on you? Who else was Vito talking to? Let's see. Murder Sheet. Murder Sheet, right? Oh, and we got Mike Thomas, right? Um, Detective Kendall, remember? Hmm. We got Jerry Holman. Hmm. Who's leaking? Who's leaking the ruckus? Just give me a moment. Okay, at this point, we're going to shift gears to understand this all a little better. And what we're going to do is go into Jerry Holman's deposition from August 10th of 2023. Okay? Jerry Holman's deposition from August 10th of 2023. We're going to dive in here on page 125. That's what we're going to do. All right. So page 125. I'm going to dive on into this Jerry Holman deposition from 2023. It says, so there was some tension because of the flow of information wasn't what your team wanted it to be between the two entities, FBI and ISP. Correct. And there were some finger pointing issues. Okay. What was the significance of the video from the Marathon station? I'm sorry. Was it Marimart or Minimart, Prosecutor McClellan? I think it's out by Monocles, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. Oh, I know what you're talking about. That little gas station out there on the right as you go up the hill, which is opposite of down the hill. Mr. Rozzi. Yeah, what was the significance of that? I guess it's worth asking. Some phone data that someone was searching that location that day, the day the girls, that's Keegan Klein. Okay, that's Keegan Klein who searched the Marathon station, right? So theoretically, someone was in the parking lot or in the building or somewhere near that site? No. There was a thumbnail that someone was searching that particular location that we had tips on, and we were trying to find out if they were there utilizing the video, and that's when the finger pointing started. Was that information any way helpful to your investigation? Could have been. Why? Because we could have been able to verify if that person was actually in Delphi, Keegan Klein. Who was that person? Keegan Klein. Okay. So I guess I'm asking fair questions. So this isn't just this random circumstance that you came up, that came up. So you were on Keegan Klein's trail. You were wanting to follow up with that, and the FBI wouldn't or couldn't or didn't offer up the information that you were wanting, and it caused tensions between the two agencies. Is that a fair summary? We have written documentation that they went and collected that hard drive. And they said that your brother, Josh Rozzi, was supposed to collect that. I knew that was going to happen at some point, says Rozzi. Sorry. No, it's okay. That's just the story of my life. So they said that Josh Rozzi was supposed to collect that, but Josh Rozzi's role was not going out and collecting video. His role was early on. People would bring him phones at the command center. Wait. So Rozzi's brother, Josh, would receive the phones in the Delphi case? At the command center? And he's a DMRS certified. So when the superintendent found out they were trying to finger point the state police, and particularly Josh Rozzi, that struck a nerve with him. And we thought that it was very pertinent to the investigation, says Holman. And when they said that they weren't the ones that went and got it, that we were, and that caused some issues. What? So who got the drive from the marathon station? What? So Doug Carter, Superintendent Carter, stepped in and took care of those issues. To the best of your knowledge, did he basically tell them you didn't need their assistance anymore? I think you'd have to ask him. But I think his statement was there's no federal nexus in this. Please turn over all your information to the FBI. This is what's being said to the FBI. There's no federal nexus. Please turn over all your information to the state police and we'll take it from here. The good old boys got this. So you didn't have that conversation with these people? No, but he told you what he said. He told me. You're summarizing? Yeah, and we ended up getting what we believe is all the information that the FBI had. Red flags, anyone? Do we have red flags yet? Okay, forgive me for being, I know this is a little convoluted. So you never did obtain the information that really started this whole conflagration? In other words, the marathon footage or the drive? No? Okay. We attempted to go back, but obviously years later, obviously. Okay, I see. So basically, he can speak for himself, but he kind of fired the FBI in a way. I mean, they were not working on your case anymore. Well, they shouldn't be, says Holman. The FBI shouldn't be. If they aren't, if they are, they aren't giving us information. You're not communicating with any of these FBI officers about the case? I communicate with them occasionally. They'll help send us tips they receive. So I'm assuming if they're sending us those tips, that they're not involved in this case. When did all this happen? Just give me a time frame. Right around COVID, so 2021. An important year, right? 2021. They haven't been part of Unified Command since then, I guess is maybe a better way of putting it. No, they hadn't been part of Unified Command since Rich Davies retired and Mike Peasley left. I don't know when that was. Would have been around 19 or 20, somewhere in there. Aha! What happened in 19? What happened in 20? What happened in 21? What was happening in the years leading up to Rick Allen? What was happening with the Kleins? Were there ever any discussions amongst the Unified Command or extension that about concerns about how the FBI handled the investigation when they were initially involved. We had concerns that we weren't getting information. You know, it was like pulling teeth to get a report. And they're 302s, I think they're called. But there were concerns that we weren't getting information that we needed to help. But as far as the investigation, I think they did a fine job. It's just sharing the information we were having issues with. So some of this incident or circumstance which prompted Superintendent Carter to pull the plug was also precipitated by some other smaller, less significant issues. Yes. They were kind of similar, frankly, flow of information. Yes. Okay, were any of these problems related to the processing of the statement Richard Allen gave Lieutenant Captain Doolin? No. Doug Carter, what role did he play in all of this? What's that? What role did Doug Carter have in this investigation? Superintendent of State Police. I mean, he was in front of every camera. And it's okay. That's a job. He's very passionate. Okay, what role did he play in the investigation itself? Kind of nuts and bolts? Zero. Zero in the actual investigation. His role as superintendent to give us manpower, resources, and funding that we needed to conduct the investigation. Now, he's very passionate. It's not uncommon for him to show up at major crime scenes, officer-involved shootings, anything like that. He's just shown up at ones we've worked, just shows up. Hey, what do you need? So it's not uncommon for him. He's very passionate about it. But his role as far as investigation is zero. Zero. He's not an investigator. His role as superintendent makes sure that the state police is providing the necessary resources and manpower. For example, David Vito was fully assigned to this investigation because Jay Harper could retire at any time. That was his decision to allow us to bring in a young detective or trooper and teach him what to do. So you use the word passionate. He strikes me as also kind of a very involved superintendent. Yes, very. Is that a fair word? Yes. Maybe even he's a little bit controlling of a superintendent, more so than maybe what you've dealt with in the past. Oh no, I wouldn't say he's controlling. I've told him no, and he's understood. Doughboy. The state police has an information officer that typically stands in front of the microphone and is trained to speak to the public, right? Yes, we do. And I noticed that Doug Carter took on that role in this case, the Delphi case, in some respects in a more extensive fashion than the press officer. Would you generally agree with that? We had some issues with the sheriff, Tobe Lesenby, and the superintendent, Doug Carter, and we discussed those issues. And I think if you look at the case as it went on, there was less people talking about it. Well, there were some concerns about how information was getting to the public, and you think he was part of cleaning that up? Yeah, he wanted to be the one person. We wanted one person, one voice. We didn't want multiple people talking because obviously that's when discrepancies may occur. So because he's passionate and well-spoken and a drama queen, we did ask him to do a couple of the press conferences, and he agreed to do so. But the information that he released, I don't want to say was approved, but reviewed by Unified Command. Scripted? Well, there were some things that maybe we didn't want him to say, and he didn't. All right, let me get back. Just one thing I kind of forgot to ask you about the second sketch being released. I think in 2019, Superintendent Carter mentioned in that press conference that, you know, this person could be right in this room. We all heard that. And if we act like we don't, then we're really not listening. What's the intention behind that statement? I talked about Pazzapoli and the other guy came and we had them come in and had some strategy. Jerry Holman uses big words when he talks about investigations and strategy. Our strategy was basically, for lack of a better term, call out the person. Tell them, hey, we're on to you. We're watching you. We're coming after you. Whatever comments he said, but it was strategically pointed towards that person to see if we could generate more information or maybe get him active again and maybe make mistakes. Flush a rabbit out of the hole? Yeah, there you go. But at the time, there was no suspicion that the person who committed this crime was right in that room, like from a literal standpoint. Literally? No. Then why do you say it? It's bullshit. It's like everything else in this case, at every single one of those press conferences, all bullshit totally. So the information that was provided was not done because of accuracy. It wasn't a genuine statement. It was meant for other purposes. Oh, it was genuine. It was strategically planned. It wasn't accurate. Well, we didn't know that that person was in the room. Well, some people could have surmised that maybe it's the arsonist, right? Like that likes to watch fire, but that was not the case here. No. When at the time, did you have any suspicions at all as to who you were talking to, as to who would be? We had suspicions on it. Yeah. Was one of them Rick Allen? Not at that time. No. All right. Polygraph exams. We kind of just talked about this yesterday. Now, this is where we listen up, okay? Can you just tell me real quick who it is that you know conducted polygraph exams in this case? Just the ones that you're aware of. Stephanie Thompson, who's deceased now, coincidentally. I can't think of the Peru guy. Matt Collins, I believe. Steve Mullen did a couple early. Is Mr. Collins out of Peru? Well, he covers Peru, but I don't think he's out of Peru. I don't think Peru has nothing but math. Okay. He's one of your guys? Yes, Steve is. Who else? Mullen, you said? I thought Steve Mullen may have done a couple early on. He is a polygrapher, but I may be wrong on that, but I know he did. I'm cutting you off because I'm a little impatient in life and not with you at this point. No, you're good. Anybody else you can think of? John Eager from West Lafayette PD. John, Jon. Off the top of my head, I know Steph and Matt did the majority of the polygraphs. Okay, you use polygraphs in the course of your profession all the time, right? Yes. Now I think we're kind of talking about things that you and I have some common familiarity with. In my experience, and correct me if I'm wrong, and one of the most common uses of them is in like sex cases where you've got allegations of molestation and things like that. Is that a fair assessment? Yes, it's a fair assessment. I seem to see the trend more than residential entry cases or burglary cases. Yes. So let me put it this way. Do you agree that you use those exams in cases of high significance, high crimes? Yes. On a consistent basis? Yes. And one of the reasons why you use those exams is because you're trying to determine whether or not somebody is being truthful or dishonest with you? Yes. And when you rely on those, you rely on those to the extent that you believe the accuracy of those, or should I say the results of those, are reliable in a courtroom? Yes. I mean, in other words, you're willing to administer a polygraph to somebody, take that result, walk into a courtroom, and have your prosecutor officer offer it up to a jury? If it's stipulated, yes. And your confidence in that process is so much that you're willing to support that approach? My opinion is that a polygraph is a tool that we use, like you said, to determine if the polygrapher is going to tell whether they detect deception. Well, here goes his investigator words. But we still use it as a tool to go back and interview and re-interview to let the person know they're being deceptive, and the tests show that. Maybe kind of use it like in the read process, right? Right. It's a tool. Your tool. I haven't thought about that. It's a tool. Okay, I guess what I'm saying is that tool, you believe in the course of your employment, that tool generates reliable enough results to walk into a courtroom and offer it up in somebody's trial? Yes. I mean, if it didn't, you wouldn't promote that kind of behavior, right? Correct. So in this case, we're not going to get into all of this. Every person you've polygraphed, that's not the point of today. Were you specifically involved in any polygraph examinations where you were sitting there kind of watching, observing, sharing information in that context? One, tell me who that was. Tony Klein. Okay, here's where we get into where you listen. Where did that occur? Peru. Give me some general time frame. Pre-COVID, during COVID? Well, I have to look at the report to tell you. A couple years ago. Okay. Was this around the same time, I believe it was, that Trooper Vito, excuse me, And there was a female officer that was kind of working the Keegan-Klein angle. Keegan-Klein angle. Two separate investigations. The female officer, okay, so pay attention. The female ISP officer worked Keegan-Klein in 2017. And then David Vito picked it up in 2019. So female officer works Keegan from 2017 to 2019. Who is that female officer? Who is that female officer? And then Vito comes in 2019. What else happens in 2019? Vito picked it up in 2019, so it would have been after. Keegan-Klein was polygraphed earlier in 2017. Tony wasn't polygraphed till later. The only humor I've gotten out of this case in the truest sense is Keegan's first name. Do you know how he got that first name? It's irrelevant. But do you know? Do you want me to answer it? I'm just asking. It's a waste of time and money and the taxpayers. But yeah, I know. Okay, he's just trying to lighten it up. It's kind of interesting. It's weird. It's weird. So with the polygraph exams, that's the only one you participated in is the exam with Tony Klein? That's the one I observed partial, yeah. What was the result of that polygraph exam of Tony Klein? He passed. So the only polygraph exam Holman is a part of is Tony Klein, and he passed. What about Reese Davis? Was his passing the exam enough to convince you that he was not part of this particular act or crime? No. We'll get back to that later at some point. Are you aware of any other polygraph exams in which I'm going to say you were involved with, even if maybe you weren't physically there, that you participated in during the investigation, you watched them, you had meetings about them? I mean, in a supervisor capacity, I was told about a lot, and I updated about a lot of polygraphs. So I'm aware there were multiple. Okay. Probably not that great of a question. Let me try and rephrase it. Did you watch any other exams, like actually sit down with popcorn, so to speak, and watch the videos? Videos of the exams themselves. I watched some videos of exams, yeah. I watched some of the videos, but I wasn't there for the exams. Yeah, I understand that. Do you remember which ones that you watched in particular? Keegan-Klein's first polygraph in 2017. I think that's the only one I've watched. Others they would just tell me about. Just getting reports? Mm-hmm. Wait up. Jerry Holman, whose role is to lead this, so Jerry Holman is leading this. You've got dozens of polygraph exams. The only two fucking exams that he takes in are Keegan and Tony Klein's. He personally sits in Tony Klein's exam and reviews Keegan-Klein's exam. And of course, there's Reese Davis, like Diana is saying. But of course, that never happened, right? Keegan and Tony Klein. Why? Not because possibly it was very important and you're in charge and these are the two most important polygraphs in this whole thing, possibly. Were there any times during this investigation where you had recommended seeking an arrest warrant for someone other than Richard Allen? No. What about any other law enforcement officials on your unified command? No, I don't think we got to that point. Okay. So they take a break and then they come back. All right. Just a moment. All right. Sorry, y'all. That was a chocolate break. I'm running out of steam. I need to recharge. Okay. They say the 43-second video. We're talking about the same video from the High Bridge. Yes. Is that the only video you're aware of that exists? Yes. And is that the totality of the video, 43 seconds? Yes. Okay. So we'll skip some of this because all of you know the lore, right? The Delphi lore, in other words, the Delphi bullshit. You all know the lore. So, of course, Holman goes and repeats the Delphi lore, which we know is BS now. But we're going to skip that section because that's not really what we're here for tonight. But let's keep going. But he's basically saying the state's lying about the BG video. We're going to flip past this to get back to this. Here we go. Was Ron Logan a suspect in this case? Yes. Is it fair to say that there was a collective approach to investigating him as a suspect? In other words, all agencies were participating in that? Yes. He was garnering that much interest, basically, that you were kind of throwing all your resources at that? Yes. Was there a point in time when Ron Logan was definitely excluded as a suspect in this case? I believe so, yes. Oh, really? Despite the confessions that you are very well aware of, which include aspects of the crime that only the killer would know? Okay. That was just a little fact check. When did this occur? I don't know exact time, but he obviously becomes a prime suspect when we find 2 homicide victims on his property. So therefore, we start looking into Ron Logan. They took the guy's water, whatever, but I remember being briefed on where Ron Logan went that day, the morning around 11:53ish to drop off trash. Yeah, what he was doing was disposing of evidence of the party at his property the night before into the early morning hours in which he had to kick these kids off to the cemetery. He went dispose of all that evidence of that gathering. At the transfer station, which is a dump, and he was there about 5-10 minutes, went back to his house around noon, we believe. Later on, I'm unclear if he actually called a cousin or cousin came over. Well, isn't that about the time the bodies are found? Oddly enough. According to the state's narrative, which we know they were found earlier, but okay. And he ended up going to a fish store, oddly enough. Okay. So we did everything else we could, search warrants, phone dumps, all that. There was no evidence located indicating that he was involved in murdering Abby and Libby, except his own confessions. And then, as he died, he passed away. A couple weeks after that, Unified Command decided to have Jay Harper, who did a lot with Ron Logan and him and the FBI, contact his son to see if maybe he said anything incriminating to his son. He said no, of course. His son was in an interview and stated that he would not go out on that high bridge. He was definitely afraid of heights. No bullshit. He wouldn't let him go to that area of property because it was too dangerous. So just the totality. How much of this case, both in the convicting of Richard Allen and in the excluding Ron Logan and anyone else and Keegan Kline, well, how much of this case revolves around these assholes, considering the totality of just the totality of the circumstances? We believe that Ron Logan was not involved. Believe is the key word there. There's just no evidence indicating his involvement. So because he's no longer alive and you've talked to his son, you kind of cleared him? I mean, but before we stopped the investigation, once we determined the timeline, the bullshit timeline. After the search warrant, we searched his house for a full day and no evidence. Oh, a full day. You invested an entire day and no evidence. Well, did you ever discover him having any evidence, the connection to these girls? No. Or Richard Allen? No. No, but he has a connection to, let's see, Kathy Shank, yeah, check. Keegan Kline, yeah, check. Tony Kline, yeah, check. Brad Holder, yeah, check. Oh, oddly enough, Garrett Kurtz, yeah, check. Every other fucking PO on this crime, Ron Logan is a direct connection to, yes, but not Rick Allen. Okay, sure, buddy. Do you recall administering a polygraph or him participating in a polygraph? I remember he did participate. I think it was John Eager, and he used a different technique that wasn't approved by the FBI and state police. And they were like, let's not have him do polygraphs anymore. He did a few, but I believe that technique is, because I'm not a polygraph examiner, but I know we stopped using Mr. Eager because of that. He was adamant. He was adamant that Ron Logan, he was showing signs of deception. Again, 23, 24, 25. The polygrapher, John Eager, was adamant that Ron Logan was showing signs of deception on some of the questions. But we'd have to get that report. Well, how about for the next trial? Or how about the appellate attorneys or get it lined up for the new defense team? So Mr. Eager was only used for this one polygraph? No, I believe he did some others. And he was using different technique. And eventually after, the officers said, I don't... Who did this guy work for? West Lafayette PD. Okay. Well, that means West Lafayette PD has that report, right? Wouldn't it mean that West Lafayette PD has that polygraph from John Eager and with Ron Logan, in which he clearly showed signs of deception, such that John would be adamant that Ron Logan showed deception to certain questions? So the Lafayette Police Department was using a polygraph examiner that was employing a technique that was not acceptable to all the other examiners you worked with? Oh, that's correct. Now I know it. Is he still working there? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this gentleman conducted other exams in the case, and there became a point where you were concerned about the technique he was using. And essentially, you chose not to use him anymore? Yes. I mean, some people would say he kind of got fired, but he's still working for the Lafayette PD. Right. So the results you were getting from the exams were apparently raising suspicions about that technique? I'm not sure exactly what raised the suspicion about the technique. Well, how about that he was given answers that you all didn't like because it didn't go with your story? Is that what it is? That he was independent minded and he was coming to conclusions that didn't suit your narrative? But I think it was a new technique that he learned. Da, 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 da. So presumably you would have called Ron Logan and said, "Hey, we need to do this again. Go through this. Our other technique wasn't appropriate. I think as the investigation furthered with the information I already told you, we didn't feel it necessary to do another polygraph. We had enough information that wouldn't put him in that area." What? You had information that wouldn't put him at his house when he was at his house? So you didn't re-examine him? No, not to my knowledge. You didn't even try, really. No, I don't think so. Were there lay witnesses that communicated to you that they felt Ron Logan was responsible for this to the extent it had some substance to it? Well, we had tips on him, but a general tip, we got tips on a lot of people. When you were comparing Ron Logan's movements with the circumstances at the trail, you concluded that essentially he had, I'm going to say, an alibi for your time frame? Yes. Do you agree to the extent this could have happened later in the evening, that he was actually out on his property during that time? Oh, I think all the evidence indicates that it happened between 2:30 and 3:30. Really? Did anyone that either knew Ron Logan or was a family member of Ron Logan tell you your team that he was a violent man, that he had violent tendencies? I don't know a family member. Wait, didn't you just say you spoke to his son? I know that there were some ex-girlfriends, if you call them that said he was drinking, he would become verbally abusive. Well, they said more than that. I don't know if those ever got physical. No, they said physical. He had a little mean streak in him? Yes. Okay, look, I'm going to skip some of this and go to the bottom. Keegan Kline, number 23 down here. Keegan Kline, a man that's a human that's fresh on everybody's radar. So is he a suspect? Yes. And is he still a suspect? I think he's suspected of communicating with the girls, like I said, but the evidence through our investigation indicates that he was not in the area during the time of the homicides. Well, not according to him. Not according to him, Jerry Holman. According to Keegan Kline, he was there in the cemetery. And he also admits that he was down at the bridge and in the creek. And was he kind of like Ron Logan, another person where there were considerable resources from all of your agencies directed towards him? Yes. Did Keegan Kline ever admit that he actually participated in this crime? I mean, knowingly, willingly played some role in this crime? Yes. Hold on. It's time to be annoying with the sound effects. Oh my God. Did Keegan Kline ever admit that he actively participated in this crime? I mean, knowingly, willingly played a role in this crime? Yes. Tell me what that admission was. He admitted to setting up a meeting with his dad and a guy in Delphi initially. Who's the guy in Delphi? He changed his story and said it was him and his dad. Oh, don't say, which is exactly what he told Noe, which is exactly what he told Reese, which is exactly what he told a bunch of these chicks and Murder Sheet. He said that he rode over to the bridge and his dad went to meet the girls and he stayed in the Jeep. Well, he also said a car. I believe it was a red Jeep. Well, he also said a car. Well, which we located the Jeep. Yeah, but he also said a car. We searched it, didn't find any evidence indicating anything that Keegan said. Yeah, same with Rick Allen, right? Because you searched with Rick Allen's car and you didn't find any evidence indicating he was ever out there bloody or muddy, or any of the DNA of the girls were on him, or any of his blood was in the car. Anything was in the car. So let's see. Okay, Keegan Kline's alleged red Jeep, even though he says he's in a car, that clears him. But Richard Allen, yeah, his car is totally cleared, but nope, he's guilty. By the way, here's a screenshot from the worst camera angle of this road that passes the Harvest store, and we'll just use that and say that matches that car when we even have a better camera angle. And we have video that we could certainly upscale or zoom in and not use a screenshot. But no, never mind all that. He also said he threw some items off the bridge. We searched the bridge. We found no items. Yeah, how about that? Let's talk about that. Because, me and Noe investigated that deeply. We sure did. I even made a video about it. Okay? I made a video about it. You know what? In my opinion, in me and Noe's opinion, and according to a couple others, they searched the wrong bridge. That's right. What's my video called? Oh, Prof, please promote your own content. Let's see. My video is called, This is Essential Viewing, and I don't know if I explained it clearly enough when I released it, but I want you to understand what I'm saying in this video. So let me post it. Let's see, share. This is the video. And if you watch this video and think about it, you'll understand what I'm about to say to you. That video is called Tony Kline and the Wayne Street Bridge regarding the Wabash River search. That's right, Tony Kline and the Wayne Street Bridge regarding the Wabash River search. Because you know what happened, I think Keegan lied when he told them what spot from what bridge. So they searched the wrong damn part of the Wabash off the wrong goddamn bridge. If you go watch that video, you'll see my theory here. So maybe they should go out to that other bridge and start a search, okay? Go search off the Wayne Street Bridge in Peru, where he said, all right. Do you have any doubt in your mind that he was Anthony Schatz? No. Kind of an alter ego or whatever phrase they use in pop culture? No doubts. In fact, he was basically in some ways kind of admitted indirectly to some of that recently in Miami County, right? Yes. Well, he wasn't the only Anthony Schatz. That's the thing. Anthony Schatz is an account that was shared by several. And actually, several accounts. It's a username. Anthony Schatz is a username that was shared on several applications by several individuals. So there is no one Anthony Schatz. There's a handful of Anthony Schatz on a handful of platforms. Was there ever a time when you definitively excluded Keegan Kline because of an alibi? No. It's kind of an odd question because he's not giving you an alibi. He's saying he's there. He's confessing that he's there. But I'm assuming you were working a reverse angle to vet his credibility. Yeah, right. That's why I asked the question, right? So understand your question. The reason that we eliminated him from actually being at the crime scene is because we know he didn't ride with his dad on the route that he took, because the video shows. We also know that he is actively downloading CP on his phone at a residence in Peru during the time we believe, keyword, the crimes occurred. Okay, so what if your timeline is bullshit? What if the crimes occurred at a different time? What if he's not actively downloading something on his computer in Peru? What if it's exactly the way he says, that he's sitting in a car at the cemetery at the time that this all goes down, and you don't have any idea about any of it because you refuse to hear the truth, and he's confessed to almost everyone he's ever interacted with, including these women who are protecting him. So you have digital forensic evidence that he was active on a computer, his phone, as you said, at the time you believe these things occurred, during the time frame that we believe these crimes occurred. Yes, he was actively using his phone. Do you know the location of the phone when it was being used? Yes. Is this through geofencing? Forgive me if I'm misunderstanding. Do you know the location of the phone? Yes. Where? It was at his residence in Peru. Okay, so what you're saying basically, if Keegan Kline was there, like he said, to everyone he's ever come into contact with, and he's at his home in Peru at the time your theory says this all happens, then that means your theory is wrong if it's true that he's there. If he's there in Delphi doing what he says he's doing, or how about this? What if he's not the one at the home in Peru doing it? Because there were some other individuals in that house and that had access to that house. So let's say Keegan Kline does have his fat ass down in Delphi at that time. How can that exclude him when you don't know who's using that phone? Do you guys see the levels of insanity? Did you go back to Keegan Kline after you learned this information and have another communication, a meeting with him? Yes, we did. What was his explanation for your findings? He had no explanation for it. Did he continue to acknowledge his responsibility for part of this crime, the Delphi murders? He changed his story quite a bit, but yes. Oh, whoa. Let's back that up again. Okay, let's back that up again. It'll be annoying.
Oh, my God.
Bruh. Sorry, wrong button. Sorry. Protect your ears. Let's get back to this. The answer is yes, okay? Did he continue to acknowledge his responsibility for part of the Delphi murders? Yes. Even though he changed his story quite a bit. But it's consistent in that he said he was there. Yes, that his dad did it. What? Klein's? Does anyone else find this a bit odd? Did he ever ask you specifically for any consideration, as we say in the business, in exchange for the information he was giving you? And here's a big one. Keegan Kline wanted to be put into witness protection program. He never asked for any consideration like you're talking about, like as far as plea bargains. I think there was some discussed, but he didn't give us any information that we could verify, but he was wanting basically to give this information and get put in a witness protection program. Why would he be asking for that? Why would he be asking to be put in witness protection?
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Bruh.
Oh, my God.
All he wants is to be put into witness protection? And he's saying that he and his father were involved in the Delphi murders? Like to everyone he possibly comes across, and he sustains that story over this entire period of time? There was no agreement between you and his representative that if he sat and talked to you, he was going to get ABC in return? Not me, the prosecutor might have. You're talking about Sinkovics? No, Prosecutor McClellan. What? Oh, wait. So we're not talking about him asking for consideration or witness protection, right? We're not asking for witness protection regarding his charges. He's asking for witness protection from McClellan regarding Delphi. At one point, now key here, listen to this, okay? Just a moment. Let's see. I'm going to close this out. How do I close this darn window? Let's see. At one point, I know that Prosecutor McClellan was going to offer Keegan Kline immunity. Hello? Excuse me. Do you think that that Nicholas McClellan was going to offer Keegan Kline immunity while he's asking for witness protection in regards to the Delphi murders? Do you think Nick McClellan is going to offer Keegan immunity if there was nothing there? Think about it. Would Nicholas McClellan offer immunity to Keegan Kline if there was a nothing burger? Would Keegan Kline ask for witness protection if it was a nothing burger? We're talking about Delphi murders, not Keegan Kline's case. Now, do you understand why these people are acting so fucking crazy in the Delphi case? Harassing us, threatening us, doxing us, stalking us, using lawfare against us? The Keegan Kline protectors? Now that he's in jail, has there been any, well, now that he's convicted of his crimes, has there been any attempt to reach out to his legal representatives to forward your investigation in any way? Not yet. No, not ever, motherfucker, because obviously you railroaded Richard Allen. You pretend that Keegan doesn't exist. You think that still might happen? Yes. Why is it that you would want to do that at this point? I think you could always want to give him a second chance, or in this case, maybe fifth, sixth, seventh chance to be honest and make things right if he knows anything. So he goes on. Okay, let's continue. Line number 15. Let's talk about Tony Kline. Let's talk about Tony Kline. Was he a suspect in this case at any point? Yes. And all these agencies still working his angle too? Wait, still? Isn't this 2023? Wait up. This is August 10th of 2023. The question is he a suspect in this case at any point? Yes. And all these agencies are still working his angle too? Yes. In August of 2023, all the agencies are still working Tony Kline as well? Yes, says Holman.
Oh my God! Bruh.
Was there a point in time when he was definitively excluded? I think so. I mean, we exhausted all our other efforts. Well, tell me how that happened. This time with the information we have, once again, we can't put him in Delphi or on the bridge. It was through the forensic evidence that we got through his digital phone data. He is also given a polygraph, and there's no evidence. We searched his house. We searched his phone. Like I said, there's no evidence indicating his involvement. Did he have an alibi that particular day that you were able to confirm? I don't recall. I think he had an alibi, but I can't recall. David Vito would be a great person to ask anything about Keegan and Tony Klein related. Oh, you mean the one? You mean the same David Vito that's talking with our troll farm from Indiana? I mean, you remember this one? The same. You mean this David Vito? Vito Holman and another are talking with the troll farm. The same troll farm who's planning to come and literally beat us up as a gang of people. They're going to come do us physical harm and plant pounds of drugs on us and put our DNA in the bags. That same these people who are directly communicating with David Vito, Jerry Holman, and some other ISP officer. That's the David Vito that would be a great person to talk to about Keegan and Tony Klein. Troll Farm Vito? Was Tony Klein cooperating with you at all times during this investigation? Not all times, but I don't think any defendant cooperates at all times. Wait, except Richard Allen. Well, tell me what you remember about Tony Klein not cooperating. I mean, he showed up and we talked to him. He lied to us quite a bit. We had surveillance on him. Oh, you mean the bikers? And we called him and he said he was working when he was actually out in his garage drinking a beer because we had surveillance on him. So he lied to us. I think that's not cooperative. If you're lying to the police, I don't think you're cooperating. He lied to you about little stuff? Yeah, little stuff. Multiple times when we confronted him about his involvement in Delphi, he would stop cooperating or just get up and walk out, things like that. Can't remember if we got consent to search his house or if we had a search warrant. I believe it was a search warrant. Was there ever any forensic connection made between Tony Klein and these girls? Digital forensic information? No. Were you able to determine definitively that Tony Klein was not utilizing his son's digital devices? No. Back that up. Let's say it again. Was ISP able to determine definitively that Tony Klein was not utilizing his son's digital devices? No. So there's still that possibility? That is a possibility. And those two were living in the same house? A short period of time. Yeah, they were living together during that time frame. But then Keegan moved out. You say during that time frame, in the weeks leading up to this circumstance? Yes. The February 13th incident? Yes. Do you know, or is there any information that suggests that Keegan Klein had any communication or connection with any of the hate groups, extremist groups, or anything of that nature? No, not to my knowledge. Yeah, but you know what? He did say to certain individuals that he had some good knowledge of witchcraft and occult. He also claimed that when he put the sticks on the bodies and all the other shit, that he was trying to make it look like witchcraft of that which he had knowledge of, which is what he told people. Same questions in regard to Tony Klein. Okay, not to my knowledge. We're going to skip over this. All right. I think I'm getting to the page I'm looking for. They're going through a whole list of individuals, but I'm not interested in that. Okay. Did Derek German have a criminal history that you were aware of? Yes, he did. What can you tell me about that? My personal past histories with him was he was involved in manufacturing methamphetamine. I don't know exactly what he got charged with, but I know he was recently released from the DOC. Did his history cause some concerns amongst your staff about his potential involvement in this case? Some concerns, yes, but we covered most of those. Did he ever work as a confidential informant for the police that you're aware of? Oh, not that I'm aware of. Have you heard that come up before, that conversation or that comment? I've heard that, yes. You don't know the answer to that? No, he was never a confidential informant for me or anybody I work with. What about someone else, though? I'm not making this stuff up. It's something I've heard. Yeah, you've heard it. It's a strong possibility, but I don't know that. Whoa, hold on. It's a strong possibility. What? That Derek German was an informant? Are you admitting that it's a strong possibility that Derek German was a CI?
Oh my God.
It's a strong possibility, but I don't know that. Were you aware of any tension or friction that existed within the family at the time of these incidents that would have caused you to believe that he might have been involved in this crime? The German family? Yes. No. Either one of girl families? No. Do you know if Derek German communicated with any of these other people we talked about on this list? Like, was he associated with them? Not to my knowledge, no. Okay. Elvis Fields. We received a tip on him. His sister was convinced that he killed Abby and Libby. That would be Murphy Purdy, probably Jay Harper, myself. There's a bunch of people involved in that one. Was he a suspect? I mean, we had a tip on him. Tell me what the tip was. His sister believed that he killed the girls. Who's his sister? Why did his sister believe he killed the girls? Well, basically, she thought he was down here. We could never put him here. We could never get any evidence putting him here or close to Delphi. Did you try? Yes, we interviewed him at all. We interviewed the sister, the roommates, multiple people. We exhausted every investigative lead on all these people. Okay. Skip ahead. They talk about Garrett Kurtz and Ashley Garth, but we're skipping ahead. And Gabe Ellis. I mean, all of these names just, all of this seems extremely important, but this is not what we're here to talk about tonight. So, okay. Are there any other players that I've mentioned that you think are connected with any other person on the list? Just Tony and Keegan. Okay, that's a good point. So Tony and Keegan. And other than that, the only other connections would be Holder and Westfall and possibly Fields, Kurtz. Sorry, possibly Kurtz, Garth, and Ellis. Correct. You want to look at the list? They talk about Stephanie Thompson. We're going to skip this because I'm looking for one more thing here. Let's see. We're almost to the end. All right. Here we go. Who was in unified command initially? Initially, it was myself, Jerry Holman, and Jay Harper, Kevin Hammond, Tony Liggett, Rich Davies, Mike Peasley. So 2 FBI, 2 state, 2 county, and then Steve Mullen from the city. He was chief at the time. And then prosecutor Robert Ives was also involved. And that was unified command initially. Like I said, write it down. Jerry Holman, Jay Harper, Kevin Hammond, Tony Liggett, Rich Davies, Mike Peasley, Steve Mullen, Robert Ives. Then if you can tell me, how did it morph into, or what did it morph into over time? Sure. Rich Davies and Mike Peasley. Rich retired from the FBI. Mike Peasley was transferred to D.C. or Virginia, something like that. Kevin Hammond retired. So that left Tony Liggett, me, Jay Harper, Steve Mullen. Then we added David Vito. And then Prosecutor McClellan took over shortly after Ry Bobs left. And that was Unified Command. So Unified Command 2.0. Okay, here's for your notebook. Unified Command 2.0, version 2. Jerry Holman. Jerry Holman, Tony Liggett, Jay Harper, Steve Mullen, David Vito, and Prosecutor McClellan. Right? Again, Jerry Holman, David Vito. Now, back to our list. David Vito, Jerry Holman. The Outlaws. The Renegades. Where is it? Come on, Prof. Milwaukee Irons. See, the plan was to have something highly illegal with your DNA planted and you'd be found by an anonymous tip. Basically, a large amount of drugs. The plan was a joke for Noe, but Reg wanted it used on you too. Since you didn't have the drug history Noe has, he wasn't sure. Think like if Noe was pulled over with a few ounces of ice on him, with his DNA and a scale, he probably gotten close to 20 years. Tyler has the people, the means, and the money to pull it off, but he needed the connections in Colorado and Indiana. You and Noe were both targeted. Oh, Detective Vito. So, does it make sense to you what I put across tonight? Remember, Anthony Greeno allowed to go into the courtroom for the entire trial of Richard Allen. At the same time, there was a warrant out for his arrest, and he had actively threatened to kill not only the defense attorneys, not only Richard Allen, but also several of the other individuals standing outside of the courtroom. And he says, they wanted me there. I had permission that I wasn't going to be arrested. How much has the Indiana State Police, the Lafayette Police Department, and the Carroll County Sheriff's Office looked the other way while for years people have been threatened, harassed, intimidated, doxxed, and bullied because of their opinions on the Delphi case? You remember the official, unofficial spokesperson for the Patty family repeatedly saying,
Well, I got all these friends in Delphhi, PD, all over Indiana. I got connections, and there's a hit out on Richard Allen. Becky, I talked to Becky, and Becky said, "Oh, I don't want him dead just yet. I want him to suffer a little." Ha 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 ha.
oh, and don't forget that we got all the cranks who have direct ties to law enforcement too. That's a whole other story. We'll get to that later. Like I said, that's the controlled opposition aspect. Right now, we're talking about the other side, the obvious state actors. So again, I want to thank our whistleblower, Necessary Evil. I want to thank our other whistleblower, Tyler. I want to thank our other whistleblower, who shall remain unnamed as of yet. And thank all our whistleblowers who have brought all of this into clear focus for us to make sense of what was the unsensible, or to make sense of what did not make sense for years when it comes at you and you're not sure what you're being hit with. Thanks to our whistleblowers for coming over and giving us the information we needed to see things clearly. And hopefully, in time, we can have the public see things as clearly as we do now. And maybe we all will see things more clearly, especially if the Indiana State Police can explain why individuals from within Unified Command were in direct contact with the YouTubers and the cyber stalkers and the bikers to do things that appear to be leading us away from Kig and Klein. All of the stalking, the calling the police on Noe multiple times to get him bound up in law enforcement and arrested, the plot to plant drugs and maybe weapons and physically assault. Like I said, this story has been verified by a third source and by receipts. And hey, there's an entire whole story to be told about that other side that pretends to be defense and victims advocates too, that you haven't heard yet too. But remember, this side are the thugs. The other side are the narrative controllers. So you think about that. And like I always say to new folks, welcome to Delphi. Yeah, welcome. Think it's crazy? You ain't seen crazy yet. You have no idea, but welcome. We love you here. You're welcome. So please share this information far and wide. If it's concerning to you that any law enforcement entity, especially Unified Command and the Delphi murders, would go to these links and condone this type of behavior and fail to hold people accountable for the obvious criminal behavior that has been perpetuated for years on the Delphi case, to those out here just merely giving public commentary. And think again about all those creators that have been frightened off, scared off, intimidated off, bullies, doxed off, all the things that have happened to people who you don't see anymore and haven't seen for years. So please do, if you're on the replay anywhere, leave me some comments below what you think about this. And please give a big thanks to our whistleblowers. They deserve it for being brave enough to step forward, because you know there will be consequences and clapback directed at them for merely being brave enough to tell the truth. And there's more truth to be told. But in the meantime, I'd like you all to please look forward to Noe joining us again, because Noe has paid a big price for his attempt to stand up for truth in Delphi and in the case of Abby and Libby. He has paid a big price, and he's given up his freedom. And I think that we all owe him a thanks for that, because he's really shaken things up quite a bit. So I look forward to him shaking things up some more. But Noe needs to be protected at all costs. Okay? He needs to be protected at all costs. And that's part of the reason why tonight or today I'm coming out with this information. Because I think all of us, all of you, everyone needs to be aware of the plotting to jail Noe and myself with fake charges, planted evidence, and physical assault, and to try to have us locked away. And so please be aware that that this is where we are. And this is the truth of the troll farm and the Indiana State Police and the methed out Delphi locals, the CIs, the chomos, the bullies, the stalkers, and the killers. Anyhow, God bless you all. Hey, there's receipts. God bless Libby and Abby. And thanks for being here. We'll see you all very soon, okay? And everyone send some comments for Noe, so when he comes in a week and watches these videos, he'll be able to see all your comments in the comment section. Leave Noe a comment, because I will have him watch this video as soon as he's out. Anyway, God bless everybody. Thanks for being here. We love you. I'm out.
I'm legally blind. Legally blind. I'm legally blind. Bruh.
It was our job to help law enforcement. It was our job to help law enforcement. It was our job to help law enforcement.
I'm legally blind. Bruh.
It's not productive. It's kind of gross and icky. And I feel like it tells us more about them than the people they're trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone.
Prof is a fucking terrorist, a fucking pedophile, sympathizing fucking terrorist.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
It's not productive. It's kind of gross and icky. And I feel like it tells us more about them the people they're trying to degrade, they're always trying to degrade someone.
I'm legally blind.